Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Dr. Artist Show. I'm your host, Dr. Brian Artist, and I hope you had a great week. I hope you're excited for this presentation. I know I am. So this is a very unique interview podcast, and I hope that you find a lot of value in this because someone I asked to read a book definitely found incredible value of reading the words on the pages of this book that was written in the early 1900s. And I'm very excited to share with you today what it is that I learned. This episode, I just want to remind you all, you can go to healingfortheages.com. Healing for the Ages Conference 2.0 is going to be the sponsor for this show. So go to healingfortheages.com and order your either virtual tickets or the replays by this point. If you need the replays, go get them. If you didn't actually participate and watch it live, you need to go get the replays. This is going to be an incredible amount of information that you and your loved ones will value and find benefit from for decades going forward. So we're very excited about that. All right. So in studio today is my daughter, Sierra. Now, Sierra has been on some radio shows with me. I think you've probably seen her face at the Healing for the Ages conference, the first one that we did. She was there participating. I had her up on stage for a few moments there. She's also done a few radio shows with me. But this, I think, is the first podcast show where her and I just did a singular interview to discuss a topic that I believed she would be very passionate about. And I think many in our audience are going to be passionate about. And any parents out there, if you have something you've learned, read, you go share it with somebody else, particularly your own children. When they take that, read it, and find value in it too. It's very exciting to see that you guys can share something in common. And this is no different. All right. So what we're going to be discussing today is a book, and the book is titled Outwitting the Devil. Outwitting the Devil was written by an author named Napoleon Hill. And for any of you who read or have heard of the book Think and Grow Rich, which is an entrepreneurial's dream. Basically, it's like entrepreneurship 101, how to be a successful entrepreneur and how to never give up because we will always fail. The book Think and Grow Rich is still one of the most purchased, most referenced books in the world of business and finance. And that book was written in 1905, somewhere in there. It was very early on. Well, Napoleon Hill, the author of that book, wrote a book just a few years later after Think and Grow Rich called Outwitting the Devil. I read this about 15 years ago, and I had my daughter, Sierra, read it over the last couple of months. She has put together her own notes, and together we are going to have a dialogue today over some of the basic principles that are even related to our own physical health that are learned by Napoleon Hill and written in the book Outwitting the Devil. I actually believe this is a book that describes our times and what our young people and adults are struggling with more than anything else. So it's an incredible read. And I think Sierra is going to be very excited to talk about what she's learned. Are you excited, Sierra?
I'm very excited. Yeah.
Okay, good. Now tell the audiences everything you want to tell them about you.
About me?
Yep.
I just turned 19. I live with my brother now. I don't have much going on in life. I'm very excited to be on this show. I've done a few radio shows, like you said. And I'm excited to actually have a podcast to be able to talk about this book.
All right. So hold up the book and show the audiences what it looks like.
Outwitting the Devil. Ooh.
All right. Tilt it up a little bit back towards you. There you go. You can see it now. Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. All right. So, Sierra, when I first handed you this book, what did you think the book was going to be about?
Something demonic. I was thinking, really. But yeah, it's an interview with the devil, actually. The whole entire book is Napoleon Hill interviewing the devil.
All right. So to set the context here, if you've never read this book, she is absolutely correct. I told her, I said, this is not a demonic book. This is a book where truly Napoleon Hill actually prayed that he could have a personal interview with Satan himself. He wanted to have an interview with the devil. He had already, in his book, Think and Grow Rich, had interviewed the most wealthy entrepreneurs in America, including Henry Ford, Carnegie, Rockefellers, all of them. When he came to this book, he wanted to know, well, how does Satan really impact our world, and how does he control our minds, influence us to sin, tempt us? I wonder if I can have an interview with him. So he actually starts praying, and Sierra, if she's read every page like she says she has, she will have read how Napoleon Hill literally believed that Satan would show up physically, even sit in his car with him and sit through an interview. And then Napoleon Hill set up some rules, and then Satan had a few of his own rules, but Satan had to tell the truth. So if there was an answer to a question, Napoleon Hill got him to agree, he would 100% answer it no matter what. And no matter how hard it would be for Napoleon Hill to hear the answer, as long as Satan would actually promise that he would stay true to his word and answer every question, he would continue these interviews. Well, the reason why this book isn't as well known as Think and Grow Rich, this book was only published after Napoleon Hill died. His publishers, his family, all of the people that he consulted when he was alive told him that the manuscript of these interviews should never be put into a book while he was alive and that it would hurt his reputation. And it wasn't till his son or grandson, after he died, learned of this manuscript, then had it published. It's probably been out 20 or 30 years now, but Napoleon Hill's been gone a long time. But anyway, Sierra, I told you that Napoleon Hill believed that he had real interviews with Satan. What was your takeaway about that summary when I handed you the book? Now that you've read the book, did you get the same impression that Napoleon Hill really believed this?
I at first didn't believe it at all. I now have a different opinion about it. It's still like a hard topic to talk about or think about. Like, wow, did he really have an interview with the devil himself? Because nobody has said that they have talked to the devil himself. But I kind of believe it because everything that the devil was talking and is saying in this book is going on right now. It's like how you read the Bible. Everything that God is saying that's going to happen in the Bible is happening today. So it's kind of hard not to believe, or at least somebody told him, because yeah, everything that's being told in this book is crazy. Because every chapter that I'm reading or every page that I'm reading, it's like coming to life more and more. Because you can relate to the topics, you can relate to what he's saying. It's insane because it is happening in today.
Now, he wrote this over 100 years ago. So how does it relate to today's world that you find yourself living in?
The devil talks about schools and how he's trying to attack children and your identity, and that's been our biggest thing today is people's loss of identity and kids, really. And he's talks about attacking kids the entire book.
Well, we'll get into multiple topics of the book, but this actually relates directly to your health. And there's going to be a lot of discussions in here about how Satan answers Napoleon Hill's questions about how he influences our personal, physical, spiritual, and emotional life, even our financial lives. All of it's in there, but he also dives into foods and how it is that Satan uses food to even govern us and control us. And as long as he can actually take our ability, Satan, from having creative logic, common sense, like to be able to make an informed decision on our own, he has to take that away from us. And we'll dive into some of these really cool topics, I think, that we will discuss here today. Sierra has 5 pages of notes, and we're going to try to go through this in a style where, as she introduces a topic from the beginning parts of this book, I'm going to ask her questions, and I want you guys to learn along as I do, as I have a very recent review now of the book I read years ago. But I want these topics. I think these are huge because, for example, if you're paying attention to my Looking for Healing radio show that I do, last Monday I did or a couple Mondays ago, I did an entire show on Generation X, and millennials have the highest suicide rates of all generations ever. And I think once we dive into the principles in this book written over 100 years ago, you're going to start to realize why so many people are so miserable in their lives today is because Satan has figured out many, many ways to deceive us and control us. So there's various methods that he uses to control you and our beliefs. And then our beliefs shape our decisions. Our decisions impact our relationships, our vocations, our finance, all of it. I mean, every aspect of our lives is controlled by our decisions and by our beliefs. So just like Bruce Lipton's book, Biology of Belief, everything we experience in life is based on, number one, first, what do you believe? That's no different than in COVID, right? People that wore masks believed there was something in the air that they were going to be poisoned by. People that stood 6 feet away from other people, you actually believed that there was a virus that would travel 6 feet to infect you. But if you got to 6.5 feet, it couldn't hurt you. You actually fell for it. You believed it. There's some people that believed in the vaccines were the only way to provide immunity. There were some people that believed it would hurt your immune system to get the vaccines. So you didn't. So you lost your jobs, you backed out, you still went to church. Church pastor got in trouble because they kept the doors open during COVID. Everything happens first based off of your beliefs. So when I shared this book with Sierra, it was Napoleon Hill. I told her he believed he had these conversations with the devil. So read the book and let's see what you think is your impressions from the book. So let's first dive into some of your first notes. I wanted to go along her notes that she took, and we've got plenty of time to discuss them all over the next 40 minutes or so. I think you're going to learn stuff that's not only going to help you in your life, it's going to help you communicate things to your grandchildren, children, nieces, nephews, as they find their own struggles in this life. And there's many of them. So mortality provides many of those. So let's dive into some of those. All right, so let's look at your notes. And let's see what your first impressions are you'd like to discuss about the book by Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil.
The first thing that I want to talk about is almost the very first thing whenever Napoleon gets to have this discussion with the devil himself, is the first thing that Satan talks about is fear. And it's a no-brainer, but it's something that it needs to be discussed, is your fear is what attracts Satan to you, and what consumes your mind is fear. And Satan even says, like, in this book, that's how he uses you to get to hell, and how he uses you to drag you down to hell and take control over your mind is your fear. So he even he places fear of hell in churches and schools. And that's why so many people today are scared and are fearful for their life of hell, is because Satan is placing that in the minds of people. And it very much is attracting people to him.
So one of the first tools we're learning about from Satan is the fear he uses to control people. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So fear. All right. So in the last 5 years, have you noticed, Sierra, any attempts using fear to motivate people around the world to do stuff they didn't do before 2020?
Yes, with the fear of COVID and getting sick, and it could kill you. And that's why you need to stay locked up in your house 24/7, can't leave, can't go to church, can't go to school, can't go to work. Yes, he very much in the last 5 years definitely has induced with fear.
And were there people that were afraid of getting sick? Like for real getting sick? Oh man, I'm deadly afraid. I can't leave my house. I can't go to school. I can't go to church. I'm afraid I'm going to get sick. How many people were even just afraid and paralyzed by fear that they stopped traveling, going to holidays? They wouldn't go visit with family because the governments were telling you they might make you sick. I even heard grandparents being told not to hug their grandchildren unless they get vaccinated. That the children now are super spreaders, is what they called them, of making the elderly sick. So fear was a very, very powerful tool.
Yeah, I think fear is the biggest thing. And it's like, you think about it, and it's like, duh, fear, but no, it really is. Fear is the biggest thing that he talks about. And it is true. The second, or the main topic of this entire book, is drifting. That's my favorite topic in this book, because it's like you have to break it down a lot to understand what drifting is, and it's still complicated to kind of understand. That's why I definitely recommend you to read the book and try to understand it for yourself. I'll try to dive into exactly what it is, but drifting itself, can I read from
All
the
right.
book?
So yes,
Okay,
read
you
away.
got it. You got it.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Drifting, as the devil explains it, is basically losing the power to think. Like, you don't understand for yourself. That's why he uses drugs and alcohol to, like, because if you have a sober mind, you can think for yourself. Not all the time, but majority of the time.
All right. So let's try to set this up. So Napoleon Hill is asking Satan, like, how do you control people? How do you control the minds of people to do bad things, sins, or whatever? In this context, Napoleon Hill is writing in this book, I remember from 20 years ago, he starts talking about, Satan does with Napoleon Hill, that human beings don't really remember or appreciate when God said in the Bible, when you read it, that he made us in his image. You don't really know what that means. And what he is explained to Napoleon Hill by Satan is God is a creator. He creates worlds. He creates life. He creates anything he wants. He is the ultimate creator. And when he made you in his image, you also are a creator. In fact, you can create your own life also. You have free agency to make choices to create any new job you want for yourself going on in the future, any family you want, as many family members as you want. You can travel the world wherever you want. You can do whatever you want. You can have whatever life you want.